morning. Let's talk about reading books. Today is so great. It is still raining. I've opened up all the curtains simply for some light for filming. Normally I would just keep them shut to keep the heat in the house. And I'm just looking over a vista of, well, I can show you actually, a vista of winter. Dead branches, dried leaves, grey, rain. Oh, I'm not going to get you back in the same spot, am I? So today I thought, I'm not in the mood for making the videos I'm supposed to be making. Just use the viewfinder as a mirror. I didn't put anything in my hair this morning when I washed it. Normally I put in this texture spray stuff to keep it up. Well, I can't even see what I'm doing. So saying, I'm supposed to be filming for you guys and for me, obviously, today, a 5 reads video and a tour of the 700 section of my non-fiction shelf and also cookbooks. And it's just too great and I'm not feeling it, so I'm going to do a reading vlog. It's currently 9 o'clock and this morning I have been listening to A Tale of Two Cities on my phone. I'm got the Spotify version, which it doesn't fill me with joy to listen to the Spotify versions. I don't know how the authors are getting royalties or the publishers. I can't find this version of A Tale of Two Cities, which is by Charles Dickens, narrated by Simon Vance on Libro FM. So we're going with the Spotify version, which is, oh, it doesn't tell me. It says I've got 3 hours left at 78%. I don't know how long it was originally, but I've been listening to it for a couple of weeks now and, oh, 13 hours. That's short as 13 hours, 40 minutes. Tantor audio version. I really enjoy Simon Vance as a narrator, which is why I picked this one in particular, but I did see there was ones with Charles Dance, who, if you've seen Bleak House, he was the lawyer. What's his name? Can't recall. Anyway, the lawyer in Bleak House and probably other things as well, but that's where I know him from in the context of Dickens. And so far, like, I've only got 3 hours left. So far I'm having fun. It's definitely hit the, like, all the drama plot twists that I've come to expect from Dickens. Not that I've read much Dickens. I read literally just Bleak House, Oliver Twist, and A Christmas Carol. Yeah. This is a long weekend in Australia, most states of Australia, for the King's birthday. And so I've spent a lot of this past weekend listening so that I can get it done, because I have to start another audiobook on Saturday, which is when this video will come to you if I edit it in time. I was gifted a copy of Ulysses from the Audrey app people, and there's a read-along schedule, and so I'm going to read along with it so I can finally get Ulysses done. So today I'm listening to A Tale of Two Cities while I get some housework done, as you have seen. Also, what else am I reading? Get my Storygraph. When it loads Storygraph. I'm also reading on my Kindle Magisteria, which is a history of, it's called The Entangled Histories of Science and Religion. And I'm having a lot of fun with that. It's the kind of book, surprisingly, where I'm staying up far later than, lights out time to keep reading, which doesn't usually happen in a non-fiction. It's just very readable. I'm having a lot of fun. Don't need to know much science or much religion. It just holds your hand the whole way through, which is what you want a non-fiction book to do, especially a pop history book. Is it pop history or is it pop science? It's both. I can hear sirens. I live very near an ambulance station and a fire station. There's always sirens. I'm also reading The Meiji Guillotine Murders, which is over there on the couch. I'm getting through this so slowly because I've just not had time in the evenings to read. By the time I do all the things that need to happen in an evening, it's about 20 minutes before I want to go to bed, and that's not enough time to settle in with a book, so I just haven't. And so I don't know how I feel about it yet. I'm not Obviously, if I would think I was having more fun with it, I would be making the time to read it, and I'm just not. But also, because I haven't had any quality time with it yet, I don't know if I'm having fun with it yet. I did start Mother Tongue by Jenny Nuttall, which is also over on the couch, but I put it aside because a library book came in that I needed to read for a book club, and I didn't pick it back up yet. I still have here on my list Town of the Screw by Henry James, which all I have to do is read the short stories in this bind-up. And I haven't, and technically still, that red one is the Bible. The New Oxford Annotated Bible, the New Revised Standard Edition. I've got that one listed as the one that I'm reading, but I've been listening to David Suchet narrate the Bible. But I haven't actually been listening to it, have I? Not in a long, long time. So maybe. Although one of my history professors told me that it would be remiss of me, and the whole class, not just me, to not read the Bible since it's a foundational text of our culture. And that's what has spurred me to give it a go, because I'm not a Christian. And even trying to explain, like I was sitting here with my daughter and her bestie over the weekend, and they were like, what even is different denominations? What is a denomination? What is Christianity? Why religion? And I was like, aha, I can answer this with examples from the Bible because I know enough about the Bible and having read Genesis. And that was really cool, actually. It's really cool that my daughter's bestie is also into history. Because my kid, she's a scientist. She ain't into history at all. So that's where we're at. That's why the lighting is so bad. One thing I haven't done yet this morning, which I often do over breakfast, is go through my Readwise passages of the day. I use this app called Readwise, which is always linked below. And it takes highlights from, like I could do manual highlights from a printed book, but it also takes automatically highlights from my Kindle and brings them into this app and then shunts all of those highlights over to Notion for me. And then I manually link them from Notion into, I have like a database page for every book and I link them together manually. One, because I don't know how to make it happen automatically. I think you have to pay extra for that. Two, I like fondling data, so it's not a chore. I do pay for Readwise and I can't remember how much it is, and I think the Notion syncing is part of the paid stuff, but the Kindle highlighting syncing to Readwise is free, I think. Anyway, there's a link below. If you use it, you get a month free, and I get a month free, and so blah, blah, blah. Anyway, that's all beside the point. Every day, it takes all my highlights and generates 5 of them as like a review thing. So you can use it to quiz yourself, but I like to use it as a way to remind me of the books that I have read. If you watched my video last week about how to talk about books you haven't read, there's not much distinction between not having read a book and forgetting you've read a book. So if I review the highlights that I've taken, it reminds me of the context of where that came from and quotes that I found interesting in the context of the story and general stuff like that. So I'm going to read my daily review and I will do like the fancy quotey screenshot thing that you can generate out of this app. First one is The Virgin Suicides by Jeffrey Eugenides. We realised that the version of the world they rendered for us was not the world they really believed in, and that for all their caretaking and bitching about crabgrass, they didn't give a damn about lawns. The second one is The Left Hand of Darkness by Ursula K. Le Guin. It is strange I found to be called a traitor, strange how hard it is, for it's an easy name to call another man, a name that sticks, that fits, that convinces. Then I've got Age of Ash by Daniel Abram. This is dialogue. Killing and dying are deep work. Taking them lightly costs. The wise and the fortunate know that. Still, fucking inconvenient for me. I must have just thought that was funny. And the Major Guillotine Murders. There were no fallow days for those people who had to work in order to survive. And finally, How to Read a Book by Mortimer J. Adler and Charles Van Doren. The 2 major questions you must ask yourself in reading any sort of practical book. The first is, What are the author's objectives? The second is, what means for achieving them is he proposing? So that's the thing that I do every morning, is read through those with my coffee and my cereal and try and stimulate my brain first thing, because I do also go through all my social media first thing, except TikTok. TikTok's a dangerous place for me to be. So that's how I try and get my brain going in the morning. And also how I use Readwise, and also what I do with all the highlights that I highlight in books. Of the books that I have to read, I am going to try and finish A Tale of Two Cities today. There's 3 hours left. I probably won't get through all of it. And then I'm going to sit down with the Major Guillotine Murders. My cat children are hovering about me. There's one in the window there, just waiting for Mama to stop doing what she's doing and come and play. In very exciting news for me, I just hung the washing, told you all about A Tale of Two Cities and where I'm up to and what I think. And when I went to hit stop recording, I discovered I had not been recording at all. So I have to get to my physio appointment, which I did also tell you all about, and that didn't record. So I will be back. What do you think, little me? I will be back anon. Hi. It's wet outside. Let me take everything off. It was just drizzling when, let me put you down. Where can I put you? It was just drizzling when I was leaving the house. You're on the cat tree, so the cats are super excited by what is happening. It was just drizzling when I left the house, so I just went with this, but can you see it got a bit wet, right, cat? She's pouring at the tripod. Just as I was like in the last half a block home. So I was like, whatever. Although, can I move back enough for you to see? Come around this way. This coat that I have fits an entire umbrella in the pocket. That is wild. I love it. But in the end, I didn't bother with the umbrella because it was only a little bit drizzly. I've got my wool scarf and my heavy jacket and my layers, and I was fine, although I have left my shoes downstairs because they got very wet. It was a good test of my shoes actually, because they're hiking boots I got in the summer, and this is the first real wet that I've had to walk in them ever. Oh, it's quite chilly with that scarf off. I'm not going to lie. That's the part where I feel the cold the most, is around my neck. So I went to the physio. Let me tell you, actually, I need to eat and then I will tell you about the physio. If I stand here, then you can't tell that directly behind me is a fan that's going to stay there all winter because I will not bother to put it away. You're on the cat tree. It's a bit wobbly. So I did tell you all about the physio and all about A Tale of Two Cities while I was hanging the washing. And then, like I said, it wasn't actually recording in any way. So anyway, the physio, I hurt my wrist at work, and the physio thinks that I've damaged the cartilage here in my wrist, like in your knee. Apparently there's cartilage here in your wrist and I've damaged it, and the only thing that will heal it is time and strengthening the muscles around it. So I was taken to task gently for not doing all the exercises, but it's because I have to buy a piece of equipment and the supermarkets don't have it. And like, I've checked both supermarkets, and it just occurred to me when I got home that maybe the Reject shop will have it. I'm pretty sure that it will, but I'm not going out in the rain again. That, and then A Tale of Two Cities, right? So I am nearly done. So how much can I tell you without spoilers? But also, do you care about spoilers? So A Tale of Two Cities is a story set in London and Paris. That's the two cities. It starts out in Paris before the French Revolution, and it goes through the Revolution. We're in the Revolution where I'm at the moment, and it starts out with a doctor and his daughter who are reunited. The daughter thought that the father was dead, but he was just in jail. He was in the Bastille. So they're reunited and they go home and they grow up and it's all lovely. And then one of the passengers on the ship home from France was tried for being a spy in London, and the daughter gets up and speaks very highly of him. No, he's clearly not a spy. He's a very nice dude. He's acquitted, and then he becomes close with the family along with one of the, I don't think he's a lawyer. I think he's just lawyer adjacent or business house adjacent guy, and the doctor and daughter, their housekeeper, and just people associated with them. They become very close. But the guy who was accused of being a spy is actually a French aristocrat. And when the shit goes down in the revolution, although he's disavowed that life, he ran away and made a life for himself in England, he still technically landed gentry in France. And so the guy who's looking after the estates is arrested. And so our French dude goes back to Paris to help him out of jail, and of course is arrested because we're in the French Revolution. So that's where we're at. And then, this is spoilers, but by this stage, this French guy, Darny, is married to the doctor's daughter. Her name's Lucy. And so Lucy's dad, Dr. Manette, who has been in the Bastille, comes to Paris with the whole household. Lucy and the children and the housekeeper comes to Paris to rescue Darny. And Dr. Manette, because he has been in the Bastille, has a lot of cachet with the revolutionaries, and he eventually helps get Darny released from jail. But Darny's released from jail, he comes home, it's all very happy and lovely. Look at this girl. This is her favourite spot on that blankie. She's waiting for me to stop talking and start playing with her. So he's released from jail. He comes home. They spend like one happy evening, and then more revolutionaries come to arrest him, which is bad. At the same time, the housekeeper, who this whole time has been lamenting the loss of her brother, who took her money and wasted it and ran away, she's found him in France, which is a classic Dickens plot twist. And that's where we're up to now, is the no-hoper brother has been found working in a position of power with the revolutionaries in France and doesn't want anyone to know that he's English. Darny has been rearrested, and that was a cliffhanger chapter ending. That's where I left off there. And I don't know what's going to happen next. I am so enjoying A Tale of Two Cities. Did I say this? I'm listening to the audio version by Simon Vance. Simon Vance has narrated heaps of things I've listened to and enjoyed, which is why I chose his version. This is clearly a digitized version of a CD, because it did say please change CD at one point. Anyway, Simon Vance has narrated heaps of things that I've enjoyed. I think he did the Gentleman Bastards trilogy, lots of Guy Gabriel Kay that I've read, and I'm sure I listened to him do Persuasion and Emma. It is 11:15, and so I've got about 45 minutes before I need to organise lunch. Ash comes home for lunch. So I guess that's what we will do. I understand that the beanie orange combo isn't the one, but I lost my navy beanie. I have no idea where it went. So this is the comfiest beanie, so I'm just going to live in it. Currently the temperature outside, according to the weather station, 9.8, which isn't too cold, and 15 degrees in here, which is cold. It's because I put those windows open for a bit of light for you. What do you say, little Mew? What would you like to do? Shall we just sit here and read some books? I think you're chilly. You look chilly. This is my usual spot on the couch. There is a baby next to me and also one in the window. And I wanted to show you something that I often do when I'm listening to audiobooks in the evening, especially, but I haven't for months and months and months. And that is my cross stitch. I have to move my microphone so you can hear me. This is a cross stitch that I'm working on, which is going to be eventually a cat. This is curtains, and then the cat's going to be here, and I can show you. I use this app on my phone for my cross stitch pattern. This is a Heaven and Earth Designs pattern. This is The app I use is called Pattern Keeper, and this is the pattern I'm working on. It colours where I've stitched, but it's called Mini Midnight Vigil. This is a small one, and it's still going to take me forever. Where do I go? View Mockup. So that's in theory. Oh, that light. That's in theory what it's going to look like. That's where we're at so far. Like I said, I haven't touched it for many, many months. So I've got half an hour. I'm going to spend some time doing that. Find out where I was up to. I'm trying a new system where, like, this is, rather than if you've ever cross stitched, when you finish a colour or finish a section, run the, I have always done it where I just like finish off that colour, start with a new colour, and do like bits and pieces all over the place, and that's called confetti. I've learned from the internet. I'm trying a new system now where I just have many, many colours on the go, and you just stitch in like 10 by 10 squares and then just move the colour down, and it's taking me about the same amount of time, but I'm making far fewer mistakes. So loving that. And so that's why it's a mess up here. This is something that I'm trying for the first time on this pattern, but I have one that I've been working on. I say working on, I haven't touched it for years and years, but I reckon I'm going on 7 or 8 years of it in progress. And I started out with a paper pattern, and then I found Pattern Keeper. Thank God. Now I think this style where you just move your colour down to the next place where you're going to use it is going to help me with that one. But I got cats, and this one that I'm working on is far less precious to me than the one I've been working on for years. So I'm testing on this one, but this one also sits out all the time, because this child in particular, when she wants my attention, she'll come and she'll scratch at the linen. It also sits out in the sun, so I can see it's getting discoloured, but it's just something here to occupy my hands while I'm listening to things, or it's something to encourage me to listen to a book while it's occupying while my hands are occupied. So it works both ways. And the fun thing about it is that I can remember what I was listening to while I was stitching it. So some of this I was listening to Middlemarch. All of Middlemarch happened while I was stitching this. Also, I'm not going to lie, I usually stitch with my head torch on, which is super sexy, and that's because the linen weave is so small that I can't see the holes. It's not so bad with the light, and this is good light actually, but usually I have my head torch like this, and then I look over at my husband, who is usually sitting right there, and I think, what an attractive wife that man has. How could you resist? I can't see. I need this. So there's this part I forgot at the start of the story where one of the side characters who's come to France with them now is a body snatcher digging up corpses to sell to medical men. And turns out that this guy who was buried, this Mr. Cruncher, the body thief, has gone to dig him up, and there's no body in the coffin because they faked his death and he's actually a spy in France. Plot twist I was not expecting. Plus also, we love a bit of body snatching. It just gave the whole thing such Dickensian gothic vibes. Yeah. Dun, dun, dun. The head dodge is so ridiculous. So, just had the plot twist at the end, which you expect with Dickens. It was like a buried
resurfaced letter with like all the stuff that happened in the past and how all these people are connected. Dun, dun, dun. And within the letter was a deathbed confession, well, not a confession, deathbed explanation about how this aristocratic family in France were assholes and exploiters and abusers of the peasants. And Dr. Minette went to provide medical aid to a girl and her brother who both died in the end, having been abused by this powerful twins of this powerful family, twin brothers. And turns out that these powerful brothers, who Minette then wrote a letter explaining what happened, who then Minette, like in this letter, denounced them, denounced their name, cursed their family, is of course Charles Darnay's family, and that's why, who is now Minette's son-in-law, that's why he was rearrested. It's a completely unsurprising Victorian plot twist with the deathbed confession or it wasn't a confession, but like the deathbed explanation of past events and then the hidden resurfaced letter. Oh, I just love it. So typical. Love, love, love. There's just over an hour left and it's coming to the crux of it and it's so good. We just had, like, the last time I spoke to you was the letter that came out and some more things have been revealed that I'm not going to give you because it's fully spoilers. But now we're going to have that classic plot twist of the bait and switch of a person in order to, like, one person sacrifices their life to save another. And of course the other one is Charles Darnay in prison. And it's all happening. Like, delicious yogurt. I am fully lapping this up. I like it when a book is like these long books, these classics especially. It's so nice when you slog through all the beginning to get to like the juicy bits at the end, because they just pay off so good. And I'm pretty sure I was warned this would happen and I forgot, but the ending is just all right. I've got just over an hour left and my kid will be home from school in just over an hour, and I think I'm just looking out the window behind you to see if it's still raining because I might have to go and get her from the bus. It'll be exciting if I'm done by the time she gets home. It's exciting anyway. I'm having fun. I turned the selfie setting on my phone because it's dark in here. I've caved and turned on the heater and my kid will be home in a minute. I've got 20 minutes left of this book and I had to pause because there was family drama that needed to be taken care of straight away. So I've taken care of that. Like I said, my kid will be home probably in 10 minutes. I've got 20 minutes left of this book and it's coming down to like the final confrontation between two middle-aged women. So hopefully there's going to have some action in it. So anyway, the gist of this is all to say that everybody's escaping from France, not out of France yet, escaping from France. And I don't know, I'm assuming that they're going to make it home to England because that's the happily ever after that I want. Okay, let's talk about the end of A Tale of Two Cities while I get dinner going. Dinner is veggies and pasta and in a veggie sauce that I make in the pressure cooker, including the pasta, which does make the pasta overcooked and a little bit kludgy, and I do not care because it's fast and easy and it's going to be warm, which is what I want because it is still dreary AF out there. But out my kitchen window, I do get to see the very nice sunset any time of the year because I live in a rental property, so I don't have real curtains, except in the lounge room where I found a solution to put curtains over the vertical blind rail that was already there. So what happened in the end? We did have a scrag fight between the two middle-aged ladies, Madame Defarge, who's French, and the English housekeeper lady, and that was great. And there was a scuffle and gunshots, and no spoilers. You can probably infer what happened because it was very much a happily ever after. It did, right in the end, devolve into sentimentality. It was the guy who sacrificed himself for Darnie, took his place in the prison and under the guillotine, and basically prophesied what was going to happen as a epilogue. This is what happened to all the characters, basically, and how it was that the sacrifice was the best thing that he ever did in his life. Blah blah blah. So that was a little less compelling. I didn't have any urge to know what would happen in the happily ever after. I'm just satisfied that Darnie got back to England with his family, with the doctor and Lucy. But that's the nature of the story. I guess if you spent so much time with everybody, you want to know how it all turns out. So I haven't done any physical reading today. So assuming that this footage is worked out, that the footage I took on my other camera is in focus, that the microphones have worked, which if you're watching this, all of that will have occurred. Thank you for hanging out with me on a reading vloggy day. I love watching vlogs, they're my fave. It's just not always convenient, not even convenient, suitable to film. I'm going to be doing another one of these on Ulysses by James Joyce. I had to think about that. With James Joyce. I'm going to film a whole vlog about that, so that will be forthcoming. If you want to get in on the Ulysses action, I'm going to leave a link to Audrey down below. I'm not sponsored by them, but they did give me a review copy of Ulysses. And let's be real, I was going to buy it anyway because I'm very keen to have read Ulysses. I don't know about the process of reading it, but to say I have read it is a goal. Just like, you know, I am pleased to have exercised, not necessarily to exercise. Blah, blah, blah. I'm waffling at this point, which means I need to turn off the camera and cook the dinner. I will see you next time. Bye.